Good morning and welcome to Top Gun Options Market Sit Rep or Situation Report. My name is Matthew Buckley. I'm the founder and the CEO of Top Gun Options. Let's get started. A lot to talk about tactically, economically in the United States this morning. A slew of economic reports that we're going to discuss, but we never jump right down to the tactics. We always start strategically, taking a macro look around the world, both politically, economically, and also operationally. We break it down to the United States, and then and only then do we get tactical. A lot of retail traders out there, folks, are very tactical. They wake up, boot up their computer, and immediately start looking for trades. That's exactly the wrong way to do it. You're inverted. You have got to develop a strategic mindset that's bullish, bearish, volatile, or even neutral. And then and only then break it down to operational issues and then tactical issues. Those trades that support that strategy. So let's take a look around the world. The Middle East, folks, obviously the ceasefire with Israel and Hamas, this one's going to hold, right? As opposed to the 500 other ceasefires we've had. Folks, whenever you tug on Superman's cape and you don't get destroyed, you get bigger. Your stature grows. So the Iranian-backed Hamas, it's technically a victory for them, right? Yeah, they lost more innocent civilians than the Israelis did, and Israel does a pretty good job of not targeting civilians. It always amazes me the condemnation that Israel gets for defending themselves, and for them actually turning around and warning where they're going to attack, and only attacking or trying to attack bad guys. It's amazing the way the world reacts to Israel defending themselves. But I digress. Also, folks, the dynamic in the region has changed. Mubarak was the devil we knew. Now we have a devil we don't know. We're getting to know. Morsi, the former head of the Muslim Brotherhood, has declared sweeping powers for himself, taking them away from the judiciary. And guess what? The folks aren't happy. So I think this guy's going to make Mubarak look like a pretty nice guy, which is very bad for the region. Very good for Hamas. Very good for a Palestinian state movement. So the Middle East is a cauldron. It's always a cauldron. It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's why we have volatility hedges. We have oil hedges in our model portfolios. Not if, but when we wake up one morning and there's smoke rising out of Iran and Israeli F-16s and F-15s are landing back at their bases, we're going to be okay. Our portfolios are going to be okay. How about over in the EU? Well, it looks like kind of like the ceasefire situation in Israel. It looks like the Greek debt crisis is solved this time. Sold. So they, lowered the debt to GDP ratio from 120% in 2020 to now 124%. Folks, the math just doesn't work. It's comical that they just literally keep kicking this can down the road. The EU, the IMF, Greece is a clown car. The math is physically impossible for them to, nothing short of just getting rid of the debt completely. Even lowering the interest rates, having the debt, still does not get Greece out of the train wreck that they're in. So nothing good can happen out of the EU. It's another can kick down the road, and eventually that can's getting bigger. It's turning into a barrel. And eventually, they're not going to be able to kick it anymore. Okay, we saw the Spanish region of Catalonia vote the other day with some pro-secession politicians that got in there. That kind of flew under the radar a little bit, but the richer or the more productive region of Spain, known as Catalonia, they're getting a little sick and tired. Voters and civilians up there are getting sick and tired of floating the bill for the rest of the country. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. And our banker, China, I've been saying for a while they've had sniffles, and if they catch a cold, we're in trouble. Obviously, whenever your banker's sick, that usually bodes poorly for us. But it really looks like they've pulled out of that nosedive they were in. They've leveled off, and they're starting to climb a little bit. Industrial production, manufacturing starting to pick up. So good news out of China, and that really helps one of our long-term bullish positions. We put on a diagonal that many of you saw. We sent out as a complimentary trade. A long-term diagonal on FXI. The tactic's called a diagonal, where we go as far out in time as we can. I believe it was out to January 2015 on FXI, and we bought deep in the money 80 Delta calls. Now, they're not cheap, folks. So it's almost like buying a $90,000 Porsche. So to help finance that $90,000 Porsche. We sold front month, or are selling front month upside calls to help finance that deep in the money call purchase. Because short term, folks, I'm neutral. I'm slightly bearish to neutral on China. So right there is an example of how you can have two strategic mindsets, long term and short term, and employ a tactic known as a diagonal to potentially profit on those two mindsets. Okay, so now let's get to the United States, folks. The fiscal cliff. Here we go. So if you read my blog yesterday on topgunoptions.com or wealthcreationinvesting.com, you know I'm a complete seller of the rally we saw, the relief rally we saw last week. Remember, beware of rallies in holiday shortened weeks because there's nobody smart around on the trading desk. That's very blunt, but that's the truth. On Monday, senior traders looked at junior traders and said, don't mess it up. I'll be in the Hamptons, I'll be in the islands, I'll be at Vail or Aspen. Watch my book. Don't do anything stupid. So the market kind of rallied last week, and the 500-pound heads, quote unquote, on Comedy Central and other places were searching for a reason. And they said, oh, the market rallied, on fiscal cliff resolution. Really? They obviously failed to remember their Washington speak, which means that, quote, constructive talks means nothing more than we were actually in the same room and didn't agree on stuff. So there is actually not a fiscal cliff meeting scheduled for this week. Folks, we have about 15 working days or whatever it is to fix this stuff. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, look at this, the mortgage interest deduction. We've seen green shoots in our housing. We're getting more housing reports this week, but we've seen some green shoots. If they do away or cap the mortgage interest deduction, you're going to see housing take a hit. I'm telling you, I know that for a fact. I'm already hearing friends, family members, business associates are already talking about this. So beware of the green shoots in housing, especially if any deal is going to go after stuff like this. Of course, the Republicans, in a spirit of bipartisanship, have reached across the aisle and said, "Hey, we're up for increasing revenue, but not tax rates. But obviously, we need to get some more scratch." Other side of the aisle hasn't even mentioned the E word. I think Dick Durbin maybe coughed it a little bit on the Sunday talk shows, but not one of them has come out. Not even the president or anybody's come out and mentioned the entitlements word. And getting rid, not getting rid, but reducing at least entitlement spending. I have an old copy of the Constitution. Apparently, it needs to be updated. Nowhere in there does it say we are entitled. The only things we're entitled to as Americans are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Didn't know it said healthcare, didn't know it said Social Security, didn't know it says everything that the government does nowadays for its citizens by taking from others and giving to others, our Peter Pan government, but I digress. Let's take a look at our flight schedule so we can go ahead and get started because I get to get trading for today. On Tuesday, folks, we have a slew of economic reports. Core durable goods orders month over month. Also durable, there's a difference. Go to forexfactory.com. It's a great site, folks. It tells you the difference between core durable goods, Also, the Fed Chairman Bernanke is speaking today. S&P Case-Shiller Index coming out at 9, the 20-city index, and also the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Number. A lot of big numbers today. Richmond Manufacturing Index, not as big as some reports that we're seeing later this week, like Chicago PMI. On Wednesday, new home sales. Again, more housing news. And also the Beige Book comes out on Wednesday. Those are the cliff notes of the recent Fed meeting, so we'll get a peek into what they're doing. On Thursday, we have a slew of overseas, European economic reports that always can potentially impact the market. I really want to see if the banker of Europe, Germany, is catching a cold, right? Because that's definitely not bad for the Eurozone. Big numbers on Thursday. GDP, unemployment claims, which have hovered north for the past couple weeks of 400,000 since the election, shocker. Pending home sales. So again, more housing news coming out. And then on Friday, rounding out the week, core PCE price index. We also have two very big ones, personal spending and personal income. Now, for long-time readers at Top Gun Options, you know that personal spending has been increasing while personal income has been going down. It doesn't make any sense. And then also we have Chicago PMI, a great indicator of Midwest manufacturing. But personal spending and personal income going to be very interesting reports to see, folks, especially with the impact of Sandy. I'm seeing numbers this morning of estimates. It's going to be worse than Katrina. 90 billion, maybe even $100 billion in damage. That's going to be very bad for GDP. Now, I know clowns like Jim Cramer get on TV and say storms are or Chris Matthews over at MSNBC, right? Oh, it's a good thing Sandy hit, so the president got elected. But folks would say, oh, this eventually is going to be great to GDP because people need to go to Home Depot and buy stuff. Really? Really? That's seriously, that might happen years down the road. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen now. We're going to see weekly unemployment claims go up. Just horrible devastation from Sandy. It's going to, not too many people are going to have a Merry Christmas up in the Northeast. It's going to be pretty tough for them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with personal spending. So, okay, kind of a long market sit rep. Apologize for that. Yesterday on Monday, we saw the market hem, haw, and go south. And of course, the 500-pound heads and Comedy Central again searching for a reason. Oh, well, it's fiscal cliff fears. Folks, this market's going to trade sideways to down. We've had a relief rally last week, like we talked about, but we're going to move sideways until we see anything out of Washington. And with no meeting scheduled, we're not going to see anything out of Washington, at least this week. So the market's going to move based on a lot of these economic reports. Okay, so I got to get going. Have a live trade brief with my Top Gun options traders at 0900. We start our live trade briefs at 9 a.m. in the morning. That's a half an hour before the market opens. Why? We need to do our pre-flight planning, right? We just don't get airborne and try and start trading. We do a half an hour strategic operational mindset before we get tactical, and then I start adding positions to the model portfolio that I manage in real time, send out email alerts, SMS alerts. So if you're interested in giving us a test flight here, I got to update these numbers here, taking a little bit on the chin with some Facebook and Apple positions, but we're still up, I believe, nearly 300%, maybe 290% since March 1st. So that performance is pretty cool. So go under services and hover over TA LTB combo and click that. That's short for Trade Alert and Live Trade Brief combo. So just give us a test flight. Again, that's topgunoptions.com, TA LTB combo. Hover over that and go down to the bottom there and take a test flight with our Trade Alert and Live Trading services today. Okay, happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see you tomorrow for our sit rep.